Hello, I'm Sarah Dixon. I'm the Marketing and Proposal Manager for Bid for Success. Bid for Success is a bid and tender consultancy that works primarily with small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs, and we're on a mission to support more small businesses into the world of bids and tenders, and particularly at the moment because it can provide much needed stability and also help support your growth plans. Working with public sector organisations means that you're working with stable clients and they will pay you within 30 days, which at times like this are a very useful thing for a small business to have available to them. This video is a micro teaching. It's one of our series of videos called Bidding Basics for SMEs, which you can find on this YouTube channel. And if you're not accessing this via YouTube, then if you head to YouTube, find our Bid for Success channel, you can subscribe there and you'll get all the videos. Or you can also join our free Facebook group, which is called Winning Contracts Bid for Success. And that's where we do these micro teachings every week. So over the course of a week, there'll be a series of 2, 3, 4 posts around a subject and one video as I kind of explain it. So without further ado, today we are following on from last week when we were talking about, excuse the cough, where we were talking about how a successful bid, a winning bid, is both compliant and responsive. And we defined those two terms. Compliant is meeting the standard that has been set out in the tender documents. So that means that you have met all the requirements of the bid, so you have the necessary insurances, certifications, provided the standards, that you've filled in everything that they've asked you to do within the bid document, and it's in the right font, it's within word limits, you know, in the right file format, all that kind of thing. So that's a compliant bid. But a responsive bid is looking more at the way that you're actually meeting the client's needs. It's looking more at the service that you're providing and how it addresses what your client actually wants and needs. So it goes beyond the basic requirements and looks at that organisation in a more sort of holistic way and addresses the underlying needs, sometimes the things that aren't explicitly stated. So if you've ever done any sort of marketing exercises for your business, this is a similar kind of idea. It is looking at the benefit of what you do rather than the features, you know, that's their sort of marketing speak, is to look at benefits, not features. It's how you can explain to the customer through the bid documents that you understand their pain points, to use marketing lingo, and that you can address them. So the question is, where are you going to find the information? This information about what the customer really needs, what their unspoken is, the things that are between the lines. So how can you do that? So there are 4 key ways that we've identified and put into this infographic, which you can see on your screen here. The first one is obviously the most obvious. It's the tender documents. So go through there and have a look at the things that the client have identified as important. One reason for doing this is if they've explicitly stated something that you think, well, that's standard, isn't it? That may imply to you that they've been let down by a supplier in the past. So for example, if they've got, they're very interested in making sure that carers reach care appointments on time, that may be that they've had an issue with a previous incumbent who has had a lot of late visits and that kind of thing. So you can then address that by further reassuring them that you have a track record of timely visits, you know, and what you do to ensure that the visits are timely and that kind of thing. So tender documents, it's worth doing almost several passes of the tender documents. It's worth doing one to make sure that you're compliant, and then going through another one to kind of try and read between the lines a little bit. Take that step back from them thinking, well, what does this mean? Why are they asking that question? What is it that they're after? And obviously another place to look at is their website, particularly if you're bidding to work with local authorities. You can go to their website and they will share all kinds of plans. You know, they normally have a strategic plan, a 5-year plan, or longer than that. And they will also have in there, you know, information about the area. And so you can identify what the issues are and have a look at what their overarching plan is. So your particular service might be, for example, boiler servicing. But if you can see that within a wider framework of, for example, they're very concerned about the vulnerable adults, then you know that in your service, you can make sure that you're prioritising service to vulnerable adults, and that you have something in there that addresses, for example, how you might gain access to the property where somebody's reluctant to let you in, and how you might reassure elderly and vulnerable residents that you are who you say you are, you know, that kind of thing. Think about the requirements that there are to meet in your service. So look at statutory requirements, look at legal requirements, and look at best practice. Probably things you're all doing anyway, but it's always worth pointing out that you are adhering to best practice, in addition to just don't assume that everybody is as good as you, essentially. So if you're great at what you do, make the point, really draw the lines neatly for the evaluator to see that you do everything that you ought to be doing. And the last step is to consider the needs of the people. Think about the stakeholders, think about the residents or end customers. For example, if you're working in a university, think about the needs of the staff, think about the facilities management people, and how your service will impact them, and make sure that that's reflected in the bid, because particularly for housing associations and things like that, they want happy residents, they want great customer care, they want their residents to get what they need in a way that creates as least problems for them as possible. So make sure that you're stressing what you do for those people. And just generally thinking in a wider way. So for example, if you're in a construction project, how are you going to consider the needs of neighbours, local shops, that kind of thing? You know, really humanise it, and make sure that you're demonstrating how you're prioritising those relationships. So if you bring those two things together, if you have a compliant bid, so you've been through and you've checked that you're meeting all the requirements, that you've got all the information presented in the way that it needs to be presented, and you've done that piece of work of thinking about what are the actual needs, so what's behind these requirements, how can we help, how can we support them, then you can bring that together into a really great and winning response. And particularly when you're looking at social value, for example, that's one area where a lot of small businesses kind of struggle, because they don't really get it, or they're not sure how to approach it. So first things first, if you're completely unfamiliar with social value, we have a free download on our website. So if you go to bidforsuccess.co.uk, you'll be able to find our free white paper, which is Win More Bids, Do More Good, which is all about social value. It explains social value to you in really simple terms, and helps you to decide on your strategy. But also, again, look at the area that you're working in and the people that you're working with, and try and identify that organisation's priorities for those people, and bring them into line in your response. So I hope that was useful. As I say, it's an important part of a winning bid. It's what takes a bid from being, a good response, an adequate response, up to that excellent mark. You've gone beyond, you've innovated, you've addressed, you're adding more value. And every time you do that, you're adding points to help you succeed. So I hope that's been really useful. If you've kind of come across this video in isolation, as I say, there's more videos on the YouTube channel. You can also find us at our Facebook group, which is Winning Contracts Bid for Success, where we have a peer support group. We have a similar group, kind of a mirror group on LinkedIn. We don't have too many people in that one at the moment, so you're very welcome to join there. And you can also go to our website, which is bidforsuccess.co.uk, where we have a whole raft of resources for small businesses to try and help demystify the bidding process, including our SME scholarship programme. So every month we donate 2 days of bid support to a new organisation that we haven't worked with before. It's a small business that's got a great opportunity. So if you're in that position of wanting to take your first bid, but you could really use some help, 2 days free support will go a great way towards helping to get you on the right path.